Okay, what on earth is happening in South Korea? That was the question on my mind about 2 hours ago when this news started to break. I've done some reading, tried to catch up on as much of the news that's come out as possible, and I'm going to give you guys a quick update, so hopefully the situation becomes slightly easier to understand. Right, so let's start off here. So the Korean president, Yoon, has declared martial law, emergency martial law. Now, I don't think anyone expected this. I certainly hadn't read anything about this that would make me think that this was a possibility ahead of time. So we're just going to read the article for a minute. So, Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol declared emergency martial law against anti-state forces Tuesday night in an unannounced press conference. This marks the first time in 44 years that martial law has been declared in South Korea. I declare martial law to protect the Republic of Korea from the threats of North Korean communist forces, to immediately eradicate the unscrupulous pro-Pyongyang anti-state forces that pillage the freedom and happiness of our people, and to protect the free constitutional order, Yoon said in an emergency press conference at the Yongsan presidential office in Seoul. Through emergency martial law, we will rebuild and protect the free Republic of Korea, which has fallen into ruin. In the televised address, Yoon vowed to eradicate such anti-state forces and the culprits of the country's ruin, who have committed evil acts up until now. He said the move will guarantee the people's freedom, safety and national sustainability against the actions of anti-state forces seeking to overthrow the system, calling it an inevitable measure. So, yeah, absolutely crazy news out of Korea. Yoon added the declaration of martial law will cause some inconveniences for good citizens who believed in and followed the constitutional values of free people, but we will focus on minimalising such inconveniences. Possibly mindful of the optics of the declaration abroad, Yoon stressed there is no change in South Korea's foreign policy stance of fulfilling its responsibilities and contributions in the international community. He appealed to the public that he will dedicate his life to protecting the free Republic of Korea, adding to please trust in me. The Ministry of National Defence announced after Yoon's declaration of martial law that a meeting of key commanders of all South Korean military forces was held and instructions were issued for the military to strengthen emergency preparedness. Conservative People's Party leader Han Dun-hong, I probably butchered that, I'm sorry, immediately said Tuesday that the president's martial law declaration is wrong, pledging to stop it along with the people. The Liberal Democratic Party ordered lawmakers to urgently gather at the National Assembly in Western Seoul late Tuesday. DP leader Lee Jae-myung called on lawmakers to safeguard the collapsing democracy and gather at the Parliament building. So we're going to stop reading this article for a second and move on to some other sources, because I've got some videos, pictures, reports, just absolutely crazy images that I've got to show you guys. So first up, we've got this video, which was purportedly taken just shortly after the announcement of martial law, and you can see the streets of Seoul are dead, just empty, devoid of life. This was at about 11 p.m, so obviously you would expect far more people to be out on the street at that time. Now, this video shows the arrival of the police convoy, I guess you'd call it, at the gates to the National Assembly, blocking off access to citizens. We then have this image of a South Korean military APC of some kind in downtown Seoul. This video shows the moment that MPs and members of the public were blocked from entering the National Assembly by police. You can see police with their riot shields there, physically blocking the entrance into the National Assembly complex. Here we have more insane, unbelievable images of military convoys making their way through downtown Seoul. Now in this video we have South Korean military helicopters flying above the National Assembly complex. Again, I don't really know how to put into words how crazy this situation is. This is like having British Apaches flying over Parliament while the police block people from using the streets. Here we've got another photo of military helicopters in downtown Seoul. You can see there are at least 4 of them in this image. This is taken from someone's Instagram story, possibly related to a K-pop star from the caption. I'm not sure about the source, but it does show military helicopters in Seoul. This is another image of military vehicles in the city. You can see we've got a long column here of military vehicles, possibly either making their way down this road or they've parked up on the side here. I'm not entirely sure. This is another image of military helicopters, this time above the National Assembly building, but obviously taken from below. You can see we've got at least 3 helicopters here. I'm not too familiar with South Korean military equipment, but they kind of look like little birds to me. I'd have to check that. I could be completely wrong, so definitely don't take my word for it, but that's kind of what it looks like. Now, in this footage, we see the moment that South Korean special forces arrive at the National Assembly building, and they start to enter the building. I'll show you another video of them smashing windows to get inside in a minute. But you can see these are Special Forces soldiers of the South Korean army making their way towards the National Assembly. I'm not sure who's filming this. I don't know if it's just a member of the public or how he's got access to this area. It possibly hadn't been blocked off at this stage yet, but yeah. You can see troops making their way inside of the South Korean National Assembly, essentially their parliament. This is the video that I said I'd show earlier. This is the moment that the Special Forces soldiers made their way into the National Assembly complex. You can see they've broken this window. There's shattered glass there that he's trying to remove with his elbow. They're making their way inside the building through the windows. So, yeah, they've gained entry this way. You can see they're trying to remove as much of the glass as possible so they don't injure themselves going in. I'm surprised they didn't just use the doors. I don't know if they expected maybe police officers to try and stop them, or if this is just another way that they entered the building and they did use the doors as well. I'm not really sure. And I don't know if we'll ever find that out, or if videos will come out later that shows, all the different ways that they made entry into the building. We'll have to wait and see. So this one's just a short clip, but you can see we've got members of the public, possibly MPs or reporters, clashing with military personnel at the National Assembly building. So in this footage, we can see members of the public, possibly MPs and journalists, trying to force their way into the National Assembly complex. I'm not entirely sure of the logistics here, what side of the door they're on, what this is behind them, but you can see there are soldiers blocking the doorways here, the revolving doors, with their bodies, and kind of looks like they've got shields, although it's hard to tell. We can see here another group of military vehicles moving through the city. You can see there's a soldier there directing the flow of traffic, but you can see multiple military vehicles here moving through downtown Seoul. We've got another video here from inside the National Assembly complex. You can see a huge mass of Special Forces soldiers here outside of the building, blocking the doorways, stopping anyone from getting through. We are hearing reports that some opposition MPs have been allowed into the building, but yeah, you can see the vast majority of people are being denied access to the complex by these soldiers. It's just pandemonium over there. People trying to force their way through, pushing back against the soldiers here. It looks like they are trying to maintain a level of calmness, though. They're not using rubber bullets, tasers, tear gas rounds, anything like that, at least yet. But it's definitely not what I would consider a peaceful situation at this stage. It's interesting to note as well that the soldiers have night vision goggles on. I'm not sure why. I mean, it doesn't seem like they'd really need them in this situation, but possibly it's just part of their kit and they just brought it along because it would usually be there with everything else. I'm not entirely sure. Okay, just as I said everything seemed peaceful, we have this footage that's just come out a few minutes ago of fire extinguishers being used against the soldiers by protesters. So again, this is the National Assembly complex. This is where most of it seems to be happening, at least at the minute. Most of the action and most of the protesters. But yeah, you can see fire extinguishers being used in an attempt to kind of, I guess force the soldiers back to gain access into the building. I'm not sure how effective that's going to be. Right, here we've got a still image, probably from the situation that we just saw in the prior video, of the fire extinguishers being used against the soldiers. It looks like the same corridor to me. You can see through that door at the end is where I believe all the journalists were and the protesters with the fire extinguishers. And you can even see in the corner there, I'll show you with the mouse, there's one of the fire extinguishers being fired in towards the military personnel. They don't look too phased. I doubt this was very effective. We have a video statement here from the leader of the South Korean opposition party. His name is Lee Jae-myung. We're going to let his words play out here and see what he has to say about the situation.
비상계엄을 선포할 아무런 이유가 없습니다.
He's saying there's no reason to declare the martial law. Let the military rule the country. He can't leave it alone.
검찰에 의한 이 폭력적 지배도 부족해서 총칼을 든 무장 군인들이
armed soldiers are taking over the country.
그리고 국군 장병 여러분.
He's now speaking to the soldiers.
여러분에게 명령을 내릴 수 있는 것은
only the people can give you orders.
윤석열 대통령은
the president betrayed the people.
윤석열 대통령의 불법적인 비상계엄
He's declaring the president's declaration invalid and illegal.
지금 이 순간부터 윤석열 대통령은 대한민국 대통령이 아닙니다.
He's declaring that the president is no longer the president of South Korea.
여러분이 들고 있는 총, 칼, 여러분의 권력은 모두 국민에게서 온 것입니다.
He's speaking back to the soldiers now, again, saying their power comes from the people are the masters of the country.
국군 장병 여러분께서 복종해야 될 주인은 윤석열 대통령이 아니라 바로 국민입니다. 국민은 윤석열 대통령의 비상계엄을 허용하지.
So we can see that was just a total repudiation of all of the president's actions today. This is again coming from the opposition leader, the leader of the opposition party in the South Korean parliament. Right, so I've just been checking the live updates from Reuters here, and 14 minutes ago, the South Korean parliament has opened a session and has voted to block the martial law declaration. So I'll read from here. The parliament, with 190 of its 300 members present, passed a motion early Wednesday requiring the martial law declared by President Yoon Suk-yeol to be lifted, live TV showed. The parliamentary speaker declared it invalid. Right, we've got the video here of the moment that the votes were cast in parliament. So you can see this shows the different votes coming through. This is the Speaker of the South Korean Parliament here announcing that the President has lost the vote. Or I should say that the vote has passed in favour of ending the emergency martial law. You can see quite a dramatic bang of the hammer there. Shows his his opinion, I think, towards this ongoing situation. Here we've got a translation of what the speaker said at the end of the vote there. He stated that the president must immediately lift martial law in accordance with the decision of the parliament, as the martial law is no longer valid. The military and police should also return to their posts in accordance with the parliament's decision. We will see if that actually happens. To be honest with you, it seems like the president is off on his own right now. His own party has denounced his actions today. So I don't know what his plan is here. Maybe he expects the military to side with him. Maybe there have been covert meetings between himself and military leaders about this ahead of time. We don't know. It's all changing, minute by minute here. The situation continues to develop. We've now got this footage that has come out less than a minute ago from Reuters. They've posted it on their live update feed of soldiers presumably leaving the National Assembly complex, possibly after the vote in Parliament has declared this unconstitutional. We don't know. It does look like there's soldiers still here. Maybe they're just moving to a different position. It's all a bit chaotic at the minute. Who knows what's going on, to be honest. To me, it even looks like the soldiers here are quite confused about the present circumstances. It does beg the question, though, now that Parliament has voted to end this state of national emergency, whether there'll be an internal, constitutional crisis where the president attempts to hold on to power against Parliament's wishes. I guess in a situation like this, it's up to the military to decide what happens. This is footage from inside of the Parliament where the votes were just cast. Yeah, we really could be seeing something quite dramatic here. I think we really do just have to wait and see which side the military takes in this ongoing situation. I've just seen this tweet from Clash Report. They're usually quite good at these up-to-date alerts on ongoing situations. They're not always 100% accurate, but they are claiming that South Korean military personnel have started to leave the Parliament building after the resolution was passed to lift the martial law declaration. So it seems like the president's lost this power play and the situation is coming to an end. As I said, this situation, at least to me, seemed to come out of nowhere. I don't really follow South Korean politics. I had no idea that this was brewing, but I found this article from December 2nd, so yesterday, from Bloomberg, which may at least help us to understand what's going on here. It will help me, certainly. So the article was titled, South Korea Budget Tussle Tests Yoon Ahead of Trump's Return. I'll read from the article here. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol faces another test of his leadership as the main opposition party vies to control the annual budget, an outcome that would cast further doubt on his ability to enact policy as the nation braces for Donald Trump's return. Yoon's government submitted a 677.4 trillion won budget earlier this year, seeking to beef up spending by 3.2% to shore up an economy that's expected to cool as export momentum eases. Opposition leader Lee Jae-myung, who we just heard from in that video, his Democratic Party last week sliced 4.1 trillion won from the total and is looking to force through the change. Parliamentary Speaker on Monday stopped the revised budget from going to a vote for now and has urged both parties to reach an agreement by December 10th. So as we can see here, it looks like the cause of this entire situation really has just been a power struggle, at least on the surface, between the leader of the opposition party and the president over budgetary concerns. Now, to go this far over something like this seems absolutely insane, at least to me. I don't know what the recourse is going to be against the president here, but it seems like if this situation doesn't go his way, and as of the vote that was just cast, it doesn't look like it is, presumably, I mean, it must be prison, right? I mean, this is an attempt to overthrow democracy. I mean, I can't really explain it in any other way. Those are the terms that really only fit this. I can't see how he doesn't end up with an extremely long prison sentence at the end of this. These are some interesting figures I've just seen on the Telegraph's live feed. President's approval rating has fallen since his inauguration. So if we have a look there, in April 2022, around his inauguration, he was at over 50% approval, which is very, very high for an elected official. But if we look now, I mean, look at the end of 2024. He's dropped to, what, 21, 22%? So a dramatic drop there, especially towards the end of 2022. I'd have to look into what happened around July time, or, well, June, I guess it would be, for him to tank that much. But as you can see, the honeymoon period for him ended very, very quickly with that approval rating, just dramatic fall. There's not really much more I can say at the minute. I think I'm just going to upload this video so you guys can get this update, and we'll see over the course of the rest of the day what happens here. But yeah, I just figured I'd get this out to, you know, to give you guys an idea of what's going on. I've tried to read up as much as I can in the last hour or two. Absolutely insane situation, and we'll see how it continues to develop. All right, see you next time.